I wanted to show you the difference between an Ogee Faja and a regular Faja. They're both made in Colombia, but that's kind of where the similarities end. They're very, very different Fajas. So let me just start with kind of the basics. Who cares if a Faja is good or not? What difference does it make? Well, I mean, it's so important for you to get the correct Faja to preserve your results after surgery. Your main results after surgery are gonna come in the operating room, but there's a lot of things that you can do to preserve those results. You don't need to have crazy compression, but you do need to have good compression. And there's a huge difference in compression between an Ogee Faja and this Faja. I mean, right off the bat, first thing, if you just feel them, the Ogee Faja is heavier. It just looks better in terms of the quality. So even if we just start on the outside, this has power net to it, this has power net. But this is a different type of power net. This is really a better quality power net. And this moves in this three-dimensional way. It also has a really nice soft lining made out of Lycra in the Ogee Faja. The other Faja has a lining. You have to have a lining. You can't wear the, some do come without a lining actually. But this is not a moisture wicking lining. This is just a kind of soft lining, but this is not going to really be good to your skin like this Lycra is. And the Lycra also gives a little bit of strength and compression as well, which this lining is not going to be able to do because it's not that strong. Just right away out of the box, you'll notice the difference in weight, the difference in texture, how they feel. The stitching is completely different. Here is a very, very kind of not really a strong stitching, whereas this is all reinforced. This has got 4 lines of stitching here, and this has 3 lines of stitching. And you can even see that the stitching in the Ogee Faja is much closer. Here is the Ogee Faja with these 4 levels of hook and eye, which gives you much more versatility and much more ability to keep taking the Faja in. This Faja has 2, and so just doesn't have as much variability. So why is this important? Well, this is important because if you get your Faja to fit you properly, you're going to be starting on the first row. And then as time goes on and as the swelling goes down and your waist is getting smaller, you're going to keep going in row by row by row. Now, it is possible that you can go through all of these rows and need to downsize into a smaller Faja, but it's much more likely that this will happen. And just the strength of this, if you get this altered, which you're gonna need to much more quickly because you don't have all the rows, this is just not as strong as if you get this altered. You can alter the Ogee Faja by taking in some of that waist. If everything's fitting you well and you just want a little bit tighter in your waist, you can get that altered as well. The straps are completely different. These are a much nicer material. And so if you look at the straps, they're different in terms of the ability to adjust them. Our straps are much more adjustable and they're very comfortable. The crotch area here is much wider. It makes it very easy to put it on because when you put it on, all of it opens. And one of the things that people hate doing is to put on the Faja because it's kind of a pain. But this at least makes it much more easy when you have that open design here. Here you have a zipper. I don't need to tell you what happens potentially with a zipper in these areas. Can be quite painful. Also, this can kind of ride up and cause some maceration of the skin, and it makes it much more difficult to put this on because there's not much more space for this to open. Now, if we turn this over and look at the back, huge differences in the back as well. The Ogee Faja has got multiple areas of compression. I created the Ogee Faja with a specific purpose of preserving people's results after having lipo or after having a BBL. And so if you look in what I call the key area, this is this area between the love handles and the butt, this transition zone. This has 4 levels of compression here, which is really going to protect your result in that area to give you the compression where we want it. This is all uniform compression. So yes, this is a Colombian made Faja, but it's really just all uniform compression. It has lighter protection in the butt just because you don't want after having a BBL to do that. But again, the material here is just much, much nicer, softer, and it's more comfortable. The thing that we hear very frequently is that it's comfortable. And Fajas in general are not comfortable. It's kind of like wearing a wetsuit in some ways. And so the fact that people are telling me this is comfortable is really a great compliment and speaks wonders about the quality of this faja. If we look down into the legs, these are what go around your thighs and prevent this from rolling up. These are really just more for decoration. This really doesn't have much strength in this area, and it's really kind of flimsy, and these are going to roll up within a second. And rolling up may not seem like a big deal, but it can be. I mean, this can leave indentations and marks and do things that we really don't want you to have. Whereas with our faja, I mean, look at the difference in the length of the cuff that's going down. So this is our faja is about twice as big. Again, with much better stitching in this area, so it's going to be much more durable. You're not going to really rip or tear or grow out of this faja. But now if we look at this anti-roll area, we've got 2 rows of the anti-roll and a much better, more elastic area here for the roll-ups that are going to prevent that from rolling up much better. So that's it. I just wanted to give you a little bit a comparison between the Ogee Faja and a traditional faja. Remember, a traditional faja was just made to kind of keep things a little bit tighter and for women to wear the shapewear under clothes, whereas the Ogee Faja has been specifically designed for wearing after having liposuction, a BBL, a tummy tuck. It can be used as shapewear. It's very good for women that have just had a child and they're looking for a little bit of shape and support after their skin is trying to kind of re-drape, and the comfort level is second to none.